All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us. We today are going to talk about the after the sale prospects, engagement, customer service, and growth. So about this session, so you've made a sale. Now what? So we're going to join marketing communication strategist Ira Gostin for a dive into keeping clients and customers happy after you begin working with them. I will share tips and tactics on how to grow clients, keep them happy, and use them as a referral source for continued growth. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about Ira. He is an entrepreneur and marketer and communication strategist, as I mentioned, who specializes in guiding business enterprises to achieve sustainable growth. He currently works with executives, helping them to maximize their business growth opportunities. Now, in his career, he has founded or revitalized numerous companies and agencies, including the development of the global publicly traded industrial company. He directed company investor relations and corporate communications. He's coordinated communications and marketing for a $400 million IPO listing on the NYSE and the NASDAQ. And he's directed communications and branding for 3 merger acquisitions and has worked in over $1 billion in equity raises during his career. So without saying much more to glorify that, and please fill in anything that I missed, but I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I'm going to kick it over to you. Really appreciate you joining us today, and look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you, StartUpNV, for having me. We'll kind of just dive in here. If you have questions, throw them in there, and Logan will get them to me. So, I kind of want to start this with this quote, because we tend to think of the big sell as closing the deal, but that's really the beginning of the journey. And it's really how things get started. Give you a quick little background about myself. My day job is I run an investor relations agency out of Reno called GH Strategies. We work primarily in mining, industrial, and energy space in those sectors. But that's sort of my area, is the communications piece. But we have a whole team, and I've been an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember. Have a couple successful exits, a couple not so successful exits, learned some things along the way, and have had quite a bit of fun. Besides being a mentor for StartUpNV, I've also mentored a couple other accelerators and things around the Western US. So that's me in a nutshell. At the end, I'll have a QR code you can scan to get some handouts I'll send you, kind of help you a little bit with your planning, as well as my email and my LinkedIn. So feel free to reach out afterwards if you want the deck. Happy to send it out to you. So here's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Customer journey. I think it's really important when we're talking about this, and understanding what that is. So that might be a new concept for some of you. And then we're going to dive into customer service. While those of you that are online, if you could kind of jump in and in the chat, I'm curious on what, are you a B2B? Are you a consumer product? Kind of pipe in a little bit about what kind of business you have. So that way, Logan will get me that, and I can give you some better examples as we move forward. We'll talk about engagement and growth, some marketing must-haves, and then I'll make sure to have time for questions. Excuse the cough drop in my mouth. I had COVID 3 weeks ago, and still have the lingering cough. So 3rd time was the charm, I hope.
All right, Ira, we have a lot of B2B, B2B energy sector, SaaS, B2B talent, HR tech, B2B energy sector, B2C, B2B healthcare services, and more just trickling on. So mostly B2B and some B2B involving hardware, and then a couple of B2Cs as well.
Cool.
B2B, mostly tourism and travel.
The person that's B2B, tourism and travel, just explain that a little bit, because tourism and travel is normally a consumer product, but I'm kind of curious, just out of curiosity, what you do.
That question is to you, Mary Jane. If you want to go ahead and elaborate on that, I will feed that to Ira once it comes over.
So we're going to talk about customer journey. Like I said, it might be a little bit new, but it has to do with how you welcome your customer into your business. And it doesn't matter if you're a consumer or a B2B, at some point, there's a point where this individual becomes your client, your customer, and you need to make them feel welcome. And that's, there's a little piece of that that gets overlooked a lot of times. So the way to ensure that you're doing a great job on that is to actually build a customer journey map. And I've got a couple examples.
Ira, that would be design and selling tours for that B2B wholesalers. We already have a couple of questions actually. So once you finish this point, I'll.
Well, you can read this yourself. I don't need to talk about it, but it's definitely a customer journey. Like I said, some of you, it's going to be a new piece of information. It's certainly something that's just kind of come on, in the last few years in popularity. But yeah, jump in with questions.
Yeah. So from Benaya, with impending depression looming, what is your proposed marketing plan for 2024? Continue to scale up or maintain? And I'm sure Ira, you'll probably touch base on this a little bit as we go through. But if you have a short answer for this, or if you want to approach it.
Yeah. So when you're looking at a recession or any kind of scale back, that is not the time to cut marketing. And I will tell you, I see CEOs doing it all the time. It's a constant, the first thing that's got to get cut back is the marketing or the communications budget. But when you think about it, that's the time where it doesn't mean that there's not money out there. It means that there's less money going into the market. So what you want to do is get above the noise. So, I know this is painful to hear, but you need to not cut your marketing budget. You need to increase it by 20%. And you need to monitor it carefully, and you need to look at key performance indicators in the sectors that you're in, and who's buying what and who's spending what. And, those of you that have brick and mortar businesses, you need to really pay attention to, if you're not reading the Wall Street Journal and you're on this call, you're missing a piece of information. Political stuff aside, that's where the information is getting reported on. And it's important to know what the rest of the country is going through, because it'll help you predict how your business is going to do. Trade associations are also good at that because those are your peers. So, don't cut back. If you're thinking that your sector is going to see some sweeping cutbacks, it's time to spend a little bit more money and get out in front of it.
Excellent, thank you. And then just one more comment from Andrew. He is from Andrew. He's the CEO of Big Boy Panda, Panda of Big Boy Bamboo. They're the only men's big and tall bamboo clothing, so B2C. In a niche market. So
cool. So this is, and don't worry about the detail because it's a complicated mess, but this is actually a customer journey map. And it's probably a little bit much. So I have some examples of a little bit easier one, but this is the stages of the journey. So if you're familiar with the sales funnel, the customer journey follows the sales funnel and takes that customer out of the bottom of the funnel. You close the deal, and now you put them into the customer journey and start moving them through. I know I'll already polarize the audience. Some people love Starbucks, some people hate Starbucks. I travel a lot, so I know that it's consistent, and they always have pretty clean bathrooms. So that may not be the best endorsement in the world, but it works for me. So you can kind of see, here's this customer, and what they've done is they built an avatar called Lindy, who's a fashion entrepreneur. She's married and is 44. So this is a compilation of different surveys and data that they've pulled through. And it shows the journey that she goes through to get her drink. Heads to the store to meet a friend, calls friend, arrives at store, arrives at the store, looks for a seat, discusses with friend what to order. All of these steps are key milestones in at the very end of the transaction. Was this a good experience? So if you're a B2B, and so let's say you have a SaaS software that you're trying to sell to G8 strategies, you should have this information. You should have a map. You should know exactly what my next thought is going to be. How easy was it for me to onboard? Did I have any problems? Did you provide me an easy way to get help? All of these things go into this map, and I highly recommend building one for your business, because it really is a helpful tool to make sure that you're checking in with your customer or clients along the way. Here's another one from Starbucks. This is Jack. He's a sales director, divorced, 36. So you've got some different generational things going on. And, so here Jack walks to the Starbucks from his office, and he sees a large crowd. He looks for a seat, can't find one. There's a long line. Obviously, this was British made because it says queue. I don't think we use that word. But anyways, it means there's a line. He makes a payment, collects his drink at the counter, but finally finds a table. So again, it's what frustrations is he having? And this could be 10 times bigger. Keep it simple to start, and then make it more complicated as you go.
There's a comment from Ben who kind of speaks to that simplicity you're talking about. Ben says, internally, Starbucks brands themselves as your third place, the first being home, and the second is the office. So just a comment to your point.
It's absolutely, and it's not just, I actually worked at Starbucks when I went to business school, and besides getting a free pound of coffee every week, I had plenty of things to write papers about, because Starbucks has a system for just about everything. But they want that, they want you to feel that third place welcoming. And it's, when I was the assistant manager in my store, my goal was to grow the per transaction cost. So those of you that do retail, there's three key indicators for you. There's how many feet come in the store, pairs of feet. How many transactions do you actually have? And what's the average sale per transaction? And when you can grow that average sales, that transaction. So at our Starbucks, our average transaction was just under $5 when I got there. And I had a great store manager. She was like, I will protect you from all of the partner, the employee stuff. You just get our bonuses. So I grew that from under $5 to $7. And that little number increased every day. And if you focus on those by using your customer journey map, you can make a better experience, whatever your business is. Okay, I know, random picture. The trick is put yourself in your customer's shoes and do it often. Don't just do it the first day you open and never go back. I talk to entrepreneurs all the time that have a software program, and they haven't actually tried to sign up in 2 or 3 years. If you've got a product or a program, if you've got a team on the weekend and you're open and you're not going into the store on the weekend and seeing how things look, again, put yourself in your customer's shoes and use your company through their eyes. I don't know about you all, but I know that customer service since COVID has been, it's been rough. I travel quite a bit, and it's pretty amazing to me the lack of service, and then when you find a place that's got great service, how amazing it is, and what an amazing experience it is. And it's not that hard. Delivering amazing customer service is not that hard. Finding the right button to push, however, is. Okay. I love this quote because at the end of the day, how you feel in a business is it's priceless from the standpoint of return and repeat business. So customer service, you got to be cool. You got to be the king of cool. Here's my king of cool slide. And you as the founder, this has to be you. You have to lead by example. You have to bring your A game and customer service. And it doesn't matter if you're having a bad day. If you have a pizza parlor and you've just had one lousy order after the next, too many people ordering pineapple, you're frustrated, you're tired, you want to go home, and that last group comes in, you gotta bring your A game. The same in healthcare. So we have somebody in healthcare tech. Healthcare is a scary, scary environment these days. Everybody's scared about pricing, about their own health, about COVID, about this, what to get vaccination. Do I wear a mask? Do I not? I mean, so you have to be that enthusiastic cheerleader for your sector, for your industry, as well as your business. I know some of you were really worried my presentation wasn't going to have any bullets, so there are. Customer service, I could do 500 slides and still not cover it all. But here's, according to me, and I'm the one with the microphone on, so unless Logan wants to jump in too, because he has one. But understand the generational differences. I'm a baby boomer. My customer service demands are going to be really different than a Gen Z. You have to understand that, and whatever your product or service is, you have to understand your audience. And if any of you've got retail, consumer, especially kind of restaurant-y things or food or catering or food trucks, Yelp is a thing out there, and it can make you and it can break you. And how do you deal with that? And you have to have a plan. You can't just wait till somebody says this was the worst meal I've ever had in my life and the place should burn to the ground. You have to have a plan before that. There's lots and lots of examples. I've seen companies that will respond right away. Other companies will respond later. There's also the people out there that are just looking for a free pizza. And, you can't give into that terrorism activity. So have a plan. Be authentic and sincere. Like, you have to be, we deal with this all the time. We just lost a client. One of our oldest clients is doing exactly what I said not to do, is cutting back. And they cut our contract to the point where I had to tell them that we couldn't work with them anymore. They just came up with an arbitrary number, and it's not going to work for us. And it's hard. We as entrepreneurs, we put our soul into our business, and I took it really personally, and I was just so upset for a couple of days. And my wife reminds me, she's a hospital nurse, so any of you that think that your day is rough, trust me, it's not anything near what she deals with on a daily basis. So it's unless you're tarring roofs in Las Vegas, except for 1 month a year, but other than that, it's you have to be sincere and care about it, and have these tools in place, and then be consistent on how you deliver your customer service. I really recommend having a customer service one sheet. It's an internal document. It gives you it's almost like an FAQ internally. If somebody says this, what do we do? And sometimes people just need to complain. When I was at Starbucks, I had a guy one time, came in at like 7 in the morning. The line's out the door. He's got his coffee machine. At that point, Starbucks sold actual coffee makers. And so he had his machine with him, and he slammed it down on the counter. And the thing, it had, you could just see the alkali that had hardened all over it. And, it had seen its work. And he's like, this is broken. It should have lasted longer than 5 years. I'm really pissed. And I'm like, okay, well, we have a lifetime guarantee. So there's actually a stack of them on the floor. That's the new model. Grab one and you're good. And I don't think the Starbucks should be doing blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, really, just grab one. Just take it right there. You don't have to do any paperwork. Here, I'll take this up. He wouldn't let go of it. And finally, I was like, okay, look, I give you a pound of coffee too. And he just needed to climb up Anger Mountain and let me know how dissatisfied he was. And then finally, when he kind of was out of breath, he's like, so what do I do? I'm like, well, just grab one and take it and go home. And really? Yeah, that's all you have to do. Well, then he'd come in every day after that when I was working and have a cup of coffee and a pastry, because now we turned a dissatisfied customer into a regular in-store customer. Plus he was, I don't know what kind of coffee he was brewing, but it's that little tiny thing where you have a policy in place and you just execute the policy. There's no thinking about it. There's no, what do? We got to do the right thing. We got to do this. It's going to cost us. Have it figured out in advance. So whatever your business is, you're going to know what the objections are from your customers.
Ira, we have a question from Ben. Speaking of mechanisms, he wants to know about engagement with inbound SaaS. Outside of the product performing, how does one manage engagement with a large volume of customers?
I think I'm going to get to this, so be patient, because I've got a couple slides about talking about engagement and tools for that. So if I don't, jump back in and we'll dive into that a little bit towards the end.
Okay, thank you.
So value proposition is up there with your customer journey map. If you haven't really thought through this is a project that'll take some work on your part. And a value proposition is really simply put, it's how does your business address your customers' needs? Obviously, there's a challenge, right? The whole pitch deck competition thing, Shark Tank, there's a challenge and then there's a solution. So, but deeper into that is what is the problem and the need that your customer has that you have a solution for? Your value proposition is also your trust factor. And, a lot of times it's referred to as the secret sauce. What makes your business tick? And then, I'm a big fan of the so what factor. So when you're planning your marketing and your customer service and all these things, keep asking yourself, so what? If you can't answer that immediately, you've overcomplicated it. And I really highlight this because I think so many times we don't ask this question. We start coming up with, oh, and if we do this, and if we put a blue balloon on it, and then we make it really pretty, and then we do this, and we should have TikTok. Yeah, we should have TikTok. And it's like, well, wait, who are you marketing to? If you're marketing to me and you think going on TikTok is the right answer, you didn't answer this question right. So if you are looking at Gen Alpha, right, these are like high school sophomores just getting their driver's license. Yeah, you need to be on TikTok, certainly not on LinkedIn if that's your target audience. So understanding these things and keep asking yourself, so what is a really good course correction to making sure that you're delivering on your value proposition. So how do you grow a customer that's got, you've already got their business? So, a couple ways, and I'll kind of walk through these a little bit. Obviously, you can increase your service offerings. Offering expanded services, parallel services. Again, I'll go back to coffee because it's just easy. If you have a coffee, truck, let's say you have a coffee truck and all you have is coffee drinks, but you can offer pastries or fresh sandwiches. Now, all of a sudden that expands your offering to grow that per transaction cost, what I was talking about. Let's say you have, like I use TripIt, right, for my travels. So several years ago, TripIt bought some company that does expense accounts or expense reports. So you can have your TripIt, and then you can have this other app, and you can take pictures of the receipts, and then you can bundle everything together. So there's an example in SaaS. If you look at healthcare, right? Remember CVS used to just be a pharmacy. They had makeup, they had snacks, they had Ace bandages, and they had a pharmacy and toys. Well, now all of a sudden you can go get vaccines there. You can get seen by a nurse practitioner. You can do, they've expanded their services. And again, it's that, I think the cable TV industry, has turned bundling into something nasty, but it kind of works. I mean, when you can get more things at the same place, people want convenience. They want it to be easy. So if you can make it easy for them, whatever your business is, that's a good thing. And then, the other piece of it is increase the levels of your service. So if you have a base level and you can offer a premium service. So, a couple of the pieces of software that I use, we have the premium service because I don't have the patience to go look through the, ask a question to the computer. So I want that 800 number. I can call and go, look, my software's being stupid. What do I do? Oh, that button. Okay, cool, thanks. So I pay extra for that. So when you can offer something like that, that's a good thing. Keep in front of, this goes back to put yourself in your customer's shoes. What's changing? If you are some kind of B2B that you like, let's say you have a small business, brick and mortar businesses that you support. Talk to them. What do they need? What's changing in their industry? Look at the magazines that your customers read. Find out what's going on with their businesses. And again, we've got a really broad spectrum of companies here. So, if you've got something specific you want to know, please do ask. And I just put this down here, and I'm kind of chuckling because I put ask, and I totally meant to say ask for referrals. Just forgot that. But anyways, I'm telling you. So if you don't ask your customers for referrals, you are missing a huge opportunity. This is the #1 area of growth. I've had 2 businesses where we've grown substantially through referral marketing. And, referral marketing makes it sound like a program. It's not. It's just sending that CEO or that owner an email and saying, hey, wanted to check in, everything good? Oh yeah, we're so happy with you guys. Hey, that's great to hear. Might I ask of you is there someone that you can introduce me to that might be able to use our product or services? That's it. You don't have to build a bunch of stuff. You don't have to have a special website. You don't have to do giveaways. You just have to ask your clients to recommend you. If they're happy, they will be thrilled to be able to do that for you. And it's something that's on my calendar every quarter. And I look through, I don't use a big business CRM like Salesforce. I just use Outlook, put notes in there. And, it's like, gee, I haven't asked XYZ Co. For a referral in a year. So this is a good time to do that. And then lastly, innovate. I mean, keep offering new things and growing your own business and what you do and what you offer. And again, tie that back to what your customers need. So let's talk about a little bit about marketing and PR and your engagement. You as the owner, the founder, the CEO, however you categorize yourself or you identify, you are the chief storyteller for your business. You are the person with the megaphone, and it is up to you. You can have all the sales reps you want, but if you're not leading by example, they're not going to be successful. You have to be out there telling your story above the noise. So as far as communications, it's communications, PR. It's actually not called PR anymore. It's called earned media, so that it separates it from paid media because we live in a pay-to-play environment. So, you'll send a press release to a publication and they'll say, hey, this is great. We'd love to run it, but you need to buy a digital package to go with it. That's the world that we live in now. So you have to have a story. We work with customers or our clients, and we craft their story. They kind of have some loose version of what they are, and we put together what we call a brand story workshop, and that's like the heartbeat of our business, is crafting that brand story. So it doesn't have to be overly complicated. It can be some sticky notes on the wall or a whiteboard, and but really come up with what your business is, and not from the perspective of, well, we do this, we do this, we do this, but here's what our customers need, and we do that for them. So we're all familiar with the elevator pitch. You should have one. You should have it rehearsed. It should be ready to go. And if you have a broad spectrum of clients, you should have one for each category. You know, my elevator pitch for mining is a little bit different than it is for energy, a little bit different than it is for industrial. You should have some kind of collateral material, leave behind, even if it's a PDF, whether it's a one sheet info sheet, or a fact sheet, a slide deck. You know, a slide deck can be a nice PDF brochure. If you're more consumer-based, you know, a little brochure. I have a couple of clients that we've done small 3-fold 4x6 brochures. It's small, it'll fit in a pocket at a conference, but you should have something that people can take away with them. People still want to put paper, and again, know your audience. If you're targeting baby boomers, I want a piece of paper when I'm done meeting with you. If you're talking to Gen Alpha, you know, I need to hold my phone next to yours so that our phones do something and it goes to them. I don't know how to do that because my clients aren't at that age, but you need to learn how to do that, because if that's who your client is, you know, if you've got a boutique and you sell, you know, young teenager clothes, that's your audience. You don't need to worry about what I'm doing, because I'm never going to come in there and shop with you. And that's okay, but you need to be able to connect directly with your audience. So brochure, one sheet, postcard. Postcards are great. Postcards are easy, cheap. You can get them anywhere. Every quick print place does postcards. You don't actually have to mail them. I do postcards and I put them in an envelope. It gives it a little classier look, and I use it as a follow-up, and I just scribble a note, you know, hey, thanks for meeting with me. Look forward to chatting soon.
Ira?
Yeah.
From Elizabeth, do you think QR codes linking to collateral are useful?
Yes. I'll expand on that. However, don't do a QR code on a website, because I want to be able to go to that. You know, I don't want to be able to do it on my phone. So QR code should be printed. You know, I had an event for a client recently. We had a QR code plastered all over town. You could scan it and get the updated schedule. So I think they're very valuable. Thank COVID. I actually did an article for Forbes a couple of years ago, how the pandemic saved the QR code. It was really just about dead. And then all of a sudden, right, remember everybody's restaurants, everybody was using QR codes. And now it's really here to stay. Don't do QR code paralysis. Like, don't have 5 of them. So, and then, gee, as an example, scan the QR code at the end of my presentation. You'll get my drip sequence that comes back to you with handouts and emails and stuff. But I think it's a very beneficial tool. So, and it's, you know, they're easy. And then the last thing there is have professional contact info. Don't have a Hello Kitty at Gmail address when you're trying to do business. It drives me nuts when people, you know, with the cost of things today, have a landing page at least. It's just a one-page website that says what you do, or have, you know, the domain point to a LinkedIn page. Those are free, or a Facebook page if you're more consumer-based. But take some pride in putting your brand out there. I'm a big fan of client newsletters. Make them opt in, make the information solid. Content is king. Been saying that for about 5 or 6 years. It's so important because this is your opportunity to not only educate your customers, but help them learn about the industry. And when you're subtle about it, you can upsell through that and say, hey, we've just started this new service, and here's why. We got a bunch of requests from our clients to offer this, so we're now offering it across the board. Schedule your updates. Send information about your business. Your customers want to know what you're doing. I'll see, you guys have in Vegas the Business Journal. We have NNBW in the north. People will put out a press release saying, hey, we just hired so-and-so in our customer service team. But they don't actually send it out to their own customers. And you have to have everything integrated. You have to be part of that story that you're telling. Know how to pitch the media. I'm not saying that everything's going to end up in the Wall Street Journal, but getting in the Las Vegas Business Journal and NNBW isn't that hard. If you just think about what you're trying to say, it should have some news value. The fact that you changed your logo from an off-white to a white, no one cares. Again, throw that so what test on there. If you take anything away from me today, you should have a sticky note by the end of this workshop that says so what on it. It should be stuck to your computer monitor, and you should be asking that at a lot of different times. So make it newsworthy, and then have a follow-up. I see, just driving here from the airport with the back of the taxi, I'm looking at billboards, and I'm constantly amazed at how many companies will spend money on a billboard that when I drove past it, I have no idea what they were selling. It was cool, but I don't know how to reach them. I don't know what they want me to do. Tell people what you want them to do. Go to our website, call 800 number, come in the store, whatever it is. There was a toy store in Reno that had opened, and they ran this massive billboard, and it had no address on it. It was actually right around the corner from where the billboard was, but it was this huge message, and their expectation was that I'm going to Google the name of it, which isn't going to happen. So, you could put turn right now, and then I'll see it. And finally, I turned right at that corner one day and happened to see it. I was like, oh, that's where it is. But I had no idea where the store was. They failed to give me the proper information to become their customer. So I can't do a show of hands, but how many times have you ordered something online and it hasn't even shown up yet, and they're already sending you the survey? Hey, how was your experience on our website? What'd you think of our product? And it's like, it's so hard to not be a smart aleck, because it's like, well, I don't know, I haven't gotten it yet. So it's like, be conscious of the fact that people are like you. They don't want to have their time wasted, but you have to ask. You have to ask, how was the experience with us? So if it's any kind of product thing where it's a one-time I purchased and now I'm moving on, you can do postcard, you can do online, Google Sheets are super easy to make. Great, it dumps all the results into a spreadsheet. If it's an ongoing relationship, you should be checking in every quarter. How are we doing for you? How are your numbers? Are you getting from us? Is there something we can do differently? What can we do to help you be successful? You have to ask that on a regular basis. I probably have about 20 vendors that I use. I have 2 that ask me that regularly, and the rest of them they get an F. It's a fail. They're so worried about taking care of what's in front of them right now that they don't schedule the time to look out beyond that. Again, ask. Keep the automation to a minimum. When I do my ask, I will send a Google survey, and I will also say, hey, I'm going to be calling you this week. Is there a good time? When are you in the office taking calls? but I also wanted to send this along just to, but we'll chat. I do both. And it's not an automated response, it's an email coming from me. If you're any kind of retail, product, having a loyalty program, right? I mean, it's gotten kind of silly. It's you can drive 100 yards and every fast food place has their own app. But if it's someplace that you go to on a regular basis, model that. Look at what they do right and say, okay, how can I do this for my business? Again, if you're a coffee shop and you have you buy 10 cups of coffee and the 10th one's free, or 9 cups, those things are easy to do and they will bring you repeat business. I hate social media. There, I just said it in public. Okay, thank you. That's all I have. No, it's a necessary evil, and I have to write it and I have to edit it, and I just am really disliking it. But there's a reality. But you have to understand, every one of these platforms here has a separate voice, and it has a separate requirement for engagement. So again, I'll go back to that boutique. Your target audience is, 15 to 25-year-old women. And you're hip and trendy. So LinkedIn, probably not your place. TikTok is, Pinterest, probably not. If your audience is, here, I'll just do a quick contest. The first person to type in, who is the target audience for Facebook? Yeah. Anybody jump in?
There's
32 to 50-year-old women. So if you've got a women's shop, you're on Pinterest and Facebook. If you've got a boutique where you're going 15, 25-year-olds, neither one of those. So it's not complicated to figure this out. You just need to be dedicated to that. YouTube. If you, StartUpNV has a great YouTube channel. Lots of information. If you haven't been to it, you should go. But it's not just a bunch of blabbering on videos. There's actually things that you can get. There's takeaways that you can get. This will be on there, right? So, if you missed something or I mumbled or was coughing, you can go back and watch this again. To tell me that you did that, I'll send you $1 in the mail. There's actual things that you can learn. I have a 25-year-old. He is wicked smart and lazy as all can get out. No, he's not really all that lazy. He works hard, but he's an entrepreneur and he's got a business. He's got 2 businesses that he's working. But he doesn't want to work like he said, he graduated from university and he said, I am never having a job. I am going to work for myself. He wants to know how to do something. He goes to YouTube. Like I'll still Google stuff. And then later I'll go, oh, what would Jake do? Oh, Jake would go to YouTube. So then I'll go to YouTube. But what I'm constantly amazed by is how many times I find a video that doesn't answer my question, and it's somebody just blathering on about something that they're not an expert at. So, if you are an accounting firm and you want to do some 2-minute videos getting ready, this time right now, hey, tax season is 3 months away. Here's 5 things you can do today to help your accountant do a better job for you. That's a great video topic. Short, sweet, to the point, doesn't have to be really long. That's a great tactic. But the trick is understand who your audience is and what platform they're on. And if you've got any kind of retail or consumer, walk-in traffic, you want to have a Google My Business. It's free, but you have to update it. So a perfect example is, let's say you're closed Veterans Day. You have to go in and put on closed Veterans Day because somebody's going to show up at your front door and you're closed and they're going to be ticked off because Google didn't have the current information. But highly recommend this if you deal with any kind of walk-up traffic. So we're kind of wrapping up here. No more questions? Okay. So some just last minute keys. Tell your story. Be your company's chief storyteller. And it doesn't have to be a long drawn out story. It just has to be succinct and to the point and spot on to what your customers need. Be that provider of solutions. That's what your customers and your clients need, is they need someone to solve problems for them. They're too busy solving all the rest of the things. So when you are supplying something, whether it's, having that, you have a hardware store and you have that one little piece of part that nobody else in town has, or, because Home Depot only will sell 100 of them, and, your corner hardware store will sell you 2, that's a problem. Understand your audience, really, really understand them. I gave you some tools to, build that customer journey. Understand what makes them thrive and what makes them fail. Live and know your value proposition. It's such a huge piece, but it starts at your written value proposition that just, hangs on the wall. And the next thing is, it's your elevator pitch. Are you really explaining what your brand stands for and what you provide to your customers? And ask regularly what your customers want. And that includes that whole piece of the referral. Your customers want to help you succeed. So ask them for referrals. Help that business help you by, doing your own growth. Your brand is, people think the brand is your logo or it's your business card. The brand is your promise to your customers and your clients. It's what you stand for. And they're not just buying a one-time thing, but when you can create an environment where they come back over and over again and refer you, then you've done your job. But don't get lazy and sit on your hands. It's a constant, it's a house plant that you're constantly having to water and prune and dust and spray and keep growing and changing the pot size. You don't just get to sit back and count the money. I kind of like to end this with this slide. I just love this. To me, this is what being an entrepreneur is all about. So I encourage you to be a surfboard and keep pushing. So that's how to reach me. Like I said, if you send me, you can send me an email if you want the slide deck. StartUpNV will have it also. This will be on their YouTube page. You can scan the QR code. We'll put you on our entrepreneur mailing list and send you some cool worksheets.
Excellent. Ira, thank you so much. We do have a couple of questions that are coming in. And of course, people, please follow Ira, connect with him. We will be putting this out for all the attendees and the public as well. Elizabeth is asking, are there any good business info sites for B2B? So something like a Yelp or a Google Business that you mentioned for B2C, any that are good for the B2B?
LinkedIn. Yeah, without a doubt, LinkedIn. That is, I mean, there's a couple other things out there. To be honest, I don't even know their names. They're not worth it. LinkedIn is the big hairy gorilla in the corner.
Okay.
And if you're B2B, there's lots and lots of ways. There's groups to connect through, people like you. There's groups that your customers are in or your clients are in. But I'm on LinkedIn at least every day.
And I used to do deal flow for StartUpNV, and one of the main things I checked is their LinkedIn is an active. Is it? I will partially deem you as a potentially dead company if I don't see some activity on. And now that's not always the case with early stage startups, but yeah, absolutely. Good.
Yeah, don't just make a page and then walk away from it. You have to engage. You have to be active, and if you're on LinkedIn, don't just like stuff. It's not Facebook. You have to comment. People want to see engagement. If you share things, give your opinion. I had a CEO one time where I forwarded this email with an article, and he walked in and he said, "I got your email. So what? And I said, oh, well, it was really, really good because it blah, 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 blah. And it had this point in there. And I thought you'd like that. And he goes, oh, okay, I'll go read it now. He goes, you're an executive. Start acting like one. Send me that information at the front. Don't just tell me to read something. Give me your opinion. I want to see how you're thinking. LinkedIn is absolutely that. People want to see your opinion. And, so be thoughtful. Don't just, write some garbage. But people want to engage with people that think in, like them in a big giant sense, not like Facebook where, if you don't agree with me 100%, you're dead to me. LinkedIn, there's a lot more tolerance, but there's also ways to grow. So I'll give you a little tip about LinkedIn. When I get people that send me just add me, they're the last ones that I add. So if somebody's online now and they're like, yeah, hey, I saw you on the StartUpNV workshop today online, that was really cool, or it sucked, but either way. But remind me how I met you, whether it was virtually or not. There are too many people out there that just start clicking on names and add. And I don't want them in my network because on LinkedIn, you now have access to my network. So I'm very picky about that, and I curate who I add and who I don't add. So just kind of a word of wisdom about LinkedIn, but it's a great platform for B2B.
There are just some other comments. Great work. Thank you for the content. Your insight was excellent and spot on. Great LinkedIn guidance. Thank you for your presentation. I just joined your email list. Is he a mentor? David, he not for Founder University currently. Many thanks. Yeah. Think that we are closing up on the questions. Well, Ira, thank you so much. That was really informative. We got a lot of value out of it for the online attendees. And everyone that's joining us in person or online. So that is, I think, the conclusion of our customer service, customer engagement section of the series. So next month, we're going to kick off the Federal Funding Bootcamp, and the topic will be application windows, how to apply for funding agencies, and our speaker will be our very own Caro Hare, who is an expert in this space. So we're very excited for that. Any of those of you that have ever considered government contractors with government grant fundings or going in that route, this is definitely a session for you. You should take it. I think that one of the many things said about funding in that route is it's not free capital, it's non-dilutive capital. So it's a hard process, and it's a lot easier if you know what you're doing. So please attend that. And Ira, from other individuals, many thanks. Thanks for your great presentation. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us.